Welcome to the most listened to golf in the world, the Fairways of Life show, on air, online, and around the world, with the most candid interviews, unforgettable stories, taking you beyond the ropes. Here's your host, New York Times best-selling author Matt Adams.
The images from Southern California over the last week have been devastating, absolutely heartbreaking to see the impact of these wildfires. As of yesterday afternoon, the Palisades fire has consumed well over 5,000 structures and some 25,000 plus acres. The Eaton fire, over 7,000 structures and some 14,000 acres at last check, and it continues to be of grave concern to so very, very many. Most of the images you're watching right now came through social media or some of the local affiliates. The bottom line is that people out there desperately need our help, and anything that we can do, no doubt, is very much appreciated. Amy Alcott is a member of the World Golf Hall of Fame. She was inducted in 1999. 1975 Rookie of the Year. She's a five-time major champion. She won 29 times on the LPGA. 147 career top 10s, 239 top 25, 17 top 5s in majors to boot. She helped design the golf course for the Rio Olympics back in 2016. She, unfortunately, has been directly impacted by these fires like so many. So we reached out to Amy just to make sure that she was okay and to share with us her experiences as yet from this very traumatic event. Amy, how are you? How are you doing?
I'm doing as good as can be expected. It's been a crazy week, a sad week, a devastating week. It makes you put everything in perspective.
Before we jump into the conversation that we need to have about perspective, about life, and taking account for what really is important, could you share with us, if you're willing, what was it like for you over the last few days? What did you have to do? And how did you handle the emotions from moment to moment?
Well, you know, being a child of Southern California, we are very used to these Santa Ana winds. They're a part of the fabric of living here in Southern California. But it appears over the last couple of years, they have just gotten worse and worse. You would always welcome them because, you know, they bring this warm air in the middle of February. And, you know, you're telling people in New Jersey, you know, it's 80 degrees out here. So that's the positive thing about Santa Ana winds. But basically last Tuesday, I was watching TV, something came up, and then we were watching this huge plume of smoke coming from an area called the Palisades Highlands, which is about 5 miles away. It's a one-way in and one-way out street. I know many people that live in the Highlands. Beautiful views of the ocean, everything else. But as they were quickly called, you know, and these terrible scenes of people exiting and mass evacuations out of there because it's like a tinderbox. We haven't had any rain out here. But as the day went on, it got worse and worse, and I looked outside my window 5 miles away, and it looked like the little town of Pacific Palisades was on fire. That's from just from my front yard, looking at the smoke around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, kind of more billowing my way. And that's taken from my roof. That picture is taken from my roof, which sits in Santa Monica Canyon with you know, idyllic, great views of the ocean, but it's in a canyon. So I gathered up everything as fast as I could, my 2 dogs, and grabbed whatever I had, some important papers, took one last look at my trophy room, saying, I don't know if I'll ever see all these wonderful honors and trophies. That was a passing thought, wasn't even important at the time. And just got in the car and drove to Palm Springs. Took 4.5 hours. Normally it would take 2 hours, but basically said goodbye to potentially what was going to be an awful situation.
Was there anything, if I may, of those very personal, very important golf? It's more than memorabilia. It's a story of your life. It's a story of your career. Was there anything of the golf related side that you could grab and take with you?
One look at a lot of covers of Golf World magazine, probably 15 of them where I was on the cover of, from various events. I looked at them and I thought for 1 second, that was another phase of my life. That was my 20s, 30s, and early 40s. I looked at very quickly, the U.S. Open medal, 3 Kraft Nabisco trophies, Canadian Open. I mean, I don't need to go through the list of my credentials. I took one look of my history, my childhood, and in the corner I had a set of beat up, very beat up, a plaid golf bag, which was the first golf bag that I ever got. The first golf club is in there that my dad cut down. He was not a golfer, and put duct tape on, and I used to push that in those balls and chip out of the ivy on the front lawn at the affectionately known Alcott Golf and Country Club, where I used to sink Sam Campbell's soup cans into the front lawn and putt and chip. And I started to cry. I grabbed them, and to me that was the most important part of my golf career, really, my childhood, where I developed my love of the game. So I threw those in the car as well. It was pretty stuffed with things. Not knowing if I'd ever be back, but boy, those were really important.
How, if we may, Amy, how did you find out how your house, how your neighborhood fared, what happened with your neighbors in the region?
Well, we're still on constant alert. I have about 15 or 20 people that I know who have lost their houses in the Palisades, which is just right above the fire, just kind of stopped on a street called Chautauqua. We are monitoring it as of today with more winds coming constantly. I've talked to my neighbors. We're on neighborhood watches. I'm staying in touch with what's going on. We have the National Guard protecting our streets locally from looters. I mean, it's a very fluid situation even now, but the house is still standing, and as well as some neighbors. But I really feel for so many people in the Palisades that I know. I live with a lot of gratitude. I'm a member at Riviera Country Club, which is probably 5 minutes away from the club. I'm also at Bel Air Country Club, which sadly has lost many people that I know have lost their homes in the Palisades. I mean, it touches everybody. These terrible people who have lost their homes in Altadena and Pasadena and off, it's just heartbreaking, and it's touching everybody. So we're cautiously optimistic.
You mentioned Bel Air and you mentioned Riviera, not to diminish the importance and the impact of people losing their homes, but as a golf show, I do, in fairness, want to ask you a question about those two beloved parts of your life, too. How have the golf courses fared as yet, have you heard?
Gotten some updates from the owners of Riviera. Basically, it's on lockdown until I think today at least. Well, they're still under a mandatory evacuation like I am. awaiting that. Everything is shut down, and I think they're just trying to wait for the evacuation orders to take place so they can assess the situation, from what I understand.
Absolutely devastating. In terms of the community, from what's left of your community, how have people come together? Are you able to get the water that you need, the food that you need, the social services that you need? Is there any way that you know of that we, the rest of the world, can help?
Right now, I'm sitting, 2 hours away. There's a part of me that wants to be there. So I'm in constant touch with what's going on with, streaming, with WhatsApp, with neighbors, with everything. I think people just need to watch the news and look at the resources that are available to, sending clothes, providing food. If you live in Southern California, I know that there are many outlets that I'm seeing myself on TV that are taking food for people. It's just, you live in this beautiful place. It's the land of, yes, earthquakes and some devastation, like the East Coast gets its hurricanes. We've had some terrible fires over the years. Northern California, Paradise Fire, towns devastated. But you never think it's going to happen to you. And I think that's the thing that is so devastating, is that you live in this, I was telling a friend, this fight or flight place till you know everything is okay. And he said to me, well, what's that like? And I said, I don't know, but it's like putting this in golf terms. It's like you've got a one-shot lead coming down the 18th hole. And there's a fine line between your instincts to know that, you just got to let your talent take over. You're not really thinking about anything technical. You're just letting it fly. But you're also have this situation to want to hold on, to that one-shot lead coming down the stretch. You've played 71 holes. And you're just hoping that you can get to 18 and make your par or your birdie or bogey or whatever you need to make. But you just want to know that it's intact. And it's this real fight or flight feeling when it's your home and a piece of property like this. So I don't know if that's a good analogy, but it's just kind of how it is.
Amy, it's your emotions, and in another time, a happier time, we're going to be back together again, and we're going to celebrate your incredible career the way we enjoy to. I just wanted you to know that we're all thinking about all of you out there and wishing you the very, very best. Thank you for joining us today.
Matt, thanks. Great for being on.
We'll be back with more of the Fairways Live Show right after this, folks.
I got ball fit in 2000, went on a little run. Then Bridgestone fit me again, and I went on another run. I just got fit again for the new Tour BX. The ball fitting's been helping me. Will it help you?
PGA Tour Superstore pros aren't born. They're made. Every January, hundreds of associates talk to the top manufacturers, learn about the latest clubs, test the newest equipment, log thousands of hours of training, and together hit over 100,000 balls, all so they can get you the perfect fit.
I think when you're training for other sports, or why most people go to the gym is so that they can have muscles and be strong and be healthy. And a lot of the reason why they struggle to play golf is their body doesn't move properly for them to be able to hit a golf ball. And when you're training for golf, it's a little bit different because you're focused more on flexibility and mobility and being strong in motion. When you're able to kind of have a warm up and have a workout routine and kind of gradually build up to where you're training your body to move properly, yeah, you're going to get a lot of big dividends on the golf course.
Our journey began with a simple yet powerful vision to provide the world with the highest quality Virginia-type peanuts. The Hubbard Peanut Company, where quality and tradition meet to create an unforgettable experience. Visit hubspeanuts.com to explore our full range of products and place your order today.
Super easy to hit. Introducing the new PXG Black Ops irons, our first game improvement iron.
It's a larger face heel to toe.
It launches the ball high in the air and really far.
Much higher levels of forgiveness. You set that club down, creates a lot of confidence. It's supported by this X-Core column material.
And that's where you get improved ball speed. If you're looking for a distance, forgiveness, and feel, Black Ops iron is going to be for you.
PXG, nobody makes golf clubs the way we do, period.
Stride by Zero Friction, the first of its kind personal caddy. Walk in comfort and style with Stride's remote and follow me technology. The Stride handles almost any terrain, and its 54-hole range will last all day. The lightweight design and removable front wheels makes it simple to handle. Plus, it easily fits golf carts. Pick up your Stride today at a local PGA Tour Superstore near you or at zerofriction.com/Stride. Stride, your personal caddy.
Incredible getting a chance to catch up with Amy Alcott in the last segment. Thank goodness that she's okay. There are so many people suffering with what's going on with those fires. Keep them in your hearts and minds. And, you know, it wasn't even that long ago that there were the devastating floods, particularly through western North Carolina. So just there's a lot of people suffering right now. Let's keep them in our hearts and minds, and if we can do something for them, let's do whatever we possibly can. Butch Harmon's coming up in just a little while on the show. I can't wait to get a chance to catch up with Butch and hear his thoughts about everything. I love just he's one of those guys. There aren't many in the game of golf, but he's one of those guys that can say whatever he wants, and he's willing and he's brave enough to do it. And having worked with many of the best players in the world throughout the course of his career, he's also one of the best storytellers in the game. So I got a lot of stuff that I want to talk to him about, and I'm really looking forward to that. Since we've been together, we haven't had a chance to react to TGL and see what you guys were thinking about all that. To that point, Dom, yesterday you put out a question of the day, which if memory serves me, was basically like, did you watch or would you watch it? I'll let you define the question specifically. But what did you get from those results? What did you think about what you saw?
I did get results yesterday. Official results are, the official question was, are you interested in TGL? Nice and straightforward there. Okay. It finished off 58% yes, and I think it was 37% no, not really that interested. And then there was like a couple percent of people that didn't even know what it was. Very quickly, I would say there was some good and there was some bad for sure, but it's so new, Matt. I mean, they're still tweaking the FedEx Cup playoff system, over a decade later, and this just started, so it's extremely fresh. So there's going to be some good, there's going to be some bad, there's going to be some growing pains, but I think overall it was fascinating to watch it unfold. I mean, are you excited?
Yeah, there's a few things that I liked about it in particular, and one of them is, on a macro level, is that last year was the first year that more golf was played off course than on course. So, simulator golf is happening. It means, and it's good for the game. It's good for all of us in all aspects of it. It doesn't have to be an either or. It can be a both. Right? There are people that this is the way they consume the game. They still have a club at hand. They're hitting a golf ball. There's a few things that I'd love to see kind of tweaked along the way, too, where, for example, if you look at, Andrew, the shot you have in preview that shows the green complex? Well, as you guys know, when they get close, they go to the green. Real sand, really putting, chipping if they're around. And that green is so high tech. It has what I would call lily pads under it that basically enable them to move the break any way they want to on the green. And I noticed when players were chipping, because they're used to chipping into the earth. And regardless of grass style, regardless of soft or hard, they have a pretty good sense instinctually how the ball is going to release. And I noticed a lot the other night, the ball would hit and stick. So I wonder if there's some way that they can alter the release of the golf ball so it's a little bit more like what they'd be used to on a green grass golf course. The other thing I was thinking about is they're hitting into this huge screen, this massive screen, right? And when they're hitting into it, I like, because it's fantasy golf, that they have fantasy holes. That's cool. But I'd also like to see on a particular week, just like, say, my wife watches Dancing with the Stars and they have a theme night. Well, maybe the theme night is one particular week is they're playing Pebble Beach. Okay, well, if there's a wind from the right, a 20-mile-an-hour wind from the right, you're inside of this incredible building that they can put up whatever they want. Put fans up there. Give the guys 20 miles per hour wind. Let them feel it. Make it happen right before them when they're there. So by and large, my feeling was I loved it today, whether we're talking about media or whether we're talking about the game. In this case, you can consume the game the way you want to, where you want to, how you want to, when you want to. Why not? And if this is connecting with people and they had great numbers for the game of golf, great numbers, that's good. That means there was a curiosity there. Like I said, Tiger's playing tonight, so that's going to cause a lot of curiosity too. So I'm for it. I'm happy for it, and I wish him the very, very best. All right, when we come back, the legend himself, Butch Harmon, joins us on the Fairways of Life show.
In Ireland, golf is more than just a game. Come and experience our world-famous links courses and our world-famous Parkland courses, all set alongside world-famous scenery. And visit our world-famous historic sites. And while you're here, enjoy our world-famous hospitality. Fill your heart with Ireland at ireland.com/golf.
Ben Hogan Golf Equipment is back. Established in 1953, we serve golfers who demand excellence of their equipment. Designed by the game's best engineers, forged in the world's best foundries, and built to order in the USA. Don't settle for off-the-rack disappointment. Elevate your game with custom clubs at direct-to-consumer pricing. Exclusively at benhogangolf.com. That's benhogangolf.com.
The best feeling iron I've ever hit. Introducing the new Gen 7 irons, the greatest leap forward in irons technology, in performance, in PXG history. Our new quantum core material explodes off the face. Are you kidding me? The Gen 7 irons deliver groundbreaking new levels of forgiveness, speed, distance, and feel. That's what I'm talking about right there. Look at that trajectory. Just phenomenal. Gen 7. It doesn't get any better.
PXG, nobody makes golf clubs the way we do, period.
Baseball? Nah. Football? Done it. I think I'm going to go after the PGA Tour.
Playing on the PGA Tour is not easy. But you know what is easy? Hitting the 524 series from Tour Edge.
Hitting linebackers and home runs used to be easy.
Out here, you're going to need all the easy you can get. Introducing the 524 series from Tour Edge. The easiest clubs you'll ever hit. Even the best players in the world can use a little easy.
I like the sound of that. Look out, PGA Tour.
Pound for pound, nothing comes close.
What would your ultimate golf experience be like? Just you and a friend? Or would you round up some buddies for a foursome? Just one day? Or an entire week? There's a good chance your ultimate golf experience could be Michigan's magnificent 10. 10 incredible courses set among 3 remarkable resorts. See for yourself. Book your ultimate golf experience today.
Our journey began with a simple yet powerful vision to provide the world with the highest quality Virginia-type peanuts. The Hubbard Peanut Company, where quality and tradition meet to create an unforgettable experience. Visit hubspeanuts.com to explore our full range of products and place your order today.
PGA Tour Superstore pros aren't born. They're made. Every January, hundreds of associates talk to the top manufacturers, learn about the latest clubs, test the newest equipment, log thousands of hours of training, and together hit over 100,000 balls, all so they can get you the perfect fit.
Welcome back to the Fairways of Life show. As I was telling you earlier in the show, he's one of my favorite people in the world of golf, in the game of golf. The list of luminaries that Butch Harmon has coached includes Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson, Ernie Els, Stuart Sink, Fred Couples, Greg Norman, Davis Love III, Justin Leonard, Ricky Fowler, Dustin Johnson, Gary Woodland, et cetera, et cetera. He comes from an epic golfing family. His dad, of course, Claude, won the 1948 Masters. He has three brothers who all became instructors as well, and Craig and Bill and Dick. You remember Dick passed away in 2006. I've had the pleasure of talking with all of the Harmon brothers, and they all have real personalities, real characters, and deep, deep knowledge and passion for the game of golf. Butch also served in the U.S. Army. He saw action in Vietnam. All of these things, all of these people, all of these experiences help shape the man that we know today. Pleasure to welcome Butch Harmon to the show. Butch, how have you been?
Good, Matt. Thank you for having me.
It's a delight. It's an honor to have you on the show. You know, I wonder, after all the years, you're coaching the game, you've been around the game, do you continue to evolve the way that you coach, your understanding of the game of golf? Does that change as the years go by?
Well, absolutely. You got to continue to try and get better at what you do, Matt. I'm constantly trying to get better at my profession. You know, I'll see somebody, one day I had a guy last week that had a very unusual backswing, and yet as he started down, he put the club in a perfect position coming down. And if you wanted to change his backswing to make it look good, he'd never be able to hit a shot. So you see things when you teach, you put those in your memory bank. Then you may see a guy a year from now that was doing the same thing and can't get the club back to impact properly. And you say, wow, I saw this guy do it, and this is how he did it. And I'm always trying to get better at what I do. I mean, my dad had a great statement years ago, and this is true in life and in golf. It's what you learn after you think you know it all are probably the most important things.
In the past,
and there's a lot of guys think they know it all.
Well, the beauty of it is when you and I have talked about it in the past, you've always pointed out to me, Butch, that, to use your phrase, that you don't have a system, that when a student comes to you, you want to work with what they have to get the most that you can get out of them. Is that fair?
That's absolutely true. I learned that from my father. Never take away what a guy does naturally. Just make it better, because your swing is actually your swing. It's ingrained in your DNA of your golf swing. And what we look for is what I call the cancer in the swing, the one thing that doesn't allow you to consistently make solid contact and hit good shots. And when we fix that cancer, 4 or 5 other things just fall into place. But in teaching, when I see a student, it doesn't matter whether it's a tour player or a 15 handicap, I will look at him as he's warming up, and things just jump out at me that I see. And I in my computer, in my brain, I say, okay, this is what I see. This is how we're going to fix this. Now let's get going with it.
Is Butch Harmon still of the mindset, kind of to use a Ben Hogan phrase, that the ball doesn't lie? Or are you using modern equipment to kind of augment nowadays?
Well, I believe very strongly the ball doesn't lie, because when I first started, I've been a golf pro almost 60 years now, there was no technology. The ball told you everything you wanted to know. Where the ball starts, the spin on the ball, the trajectory, the shape of the shot, pretty much lets you know the path of the club coming down and the club face at impact. Now, do we use technology in our academies? Of course we do. We use all technologies. We use launch monitors. We use video. Myself, I use all those things for the other person, not necessarily for me. I can already see whether the ball's spinning too much. I don't need to have a machine tell me that you got too much spin because your downward plane is creating that coming into it. I don't need to know how many degrees that is. I just know how to fix it. So I use technology, but I don't get carried away with it. I don't think it's the end all. I watch a lot of instructors teach today, and they literally never watch the guy swing and they never watch the ball. They instantly go to their iPad or their computer and start talking about angles and degrees. Well, that's wonderful. But why don't you tell the person what they're doing wrong? What is creating all that? And that's my job as an instructor, is to get the best out of your ability. Everybody's ability is different. Tour players are the easiest and most difficult to deal with because they have so much talent. They can do anything you tell them to do. The difficulty in that is you better make sure what you're telling them to do is the right thing, because you're dealing with how a guy makes a living, and you don't want to mess that up. With a 15 handicap, you can experiment. You can say, let's try this, let's try that. You can't do that with the elite player.
You and your family obviously have so much passion for this game of golf, Butch. In your career, in that passion that you've followed, what brings Butch Harmon the greatest joy?
I like helping people. I mean, I like, first of all, I'm a people person, man. You and I have known each other a long time. I like being around people. I like learning about people. And I love to be able to help people. I think my job is to get the best out of what your ability is. I have a saying that I use all the time. I can't make a racehorse out of a mule, but I can damn sure make a racing mule. And people laugh at me when I tell them that, but that's a fact. You know, each one of us has a level of what we can get to. I think that ego gets in the way of most amateur golfers because they have a belief they're better than they are. And they set goals for themselves that are unrealistic. Like a 15 handicap says, I want to win my club championship. Well, a 15 handicap, you ought to win the fifth flight first and then win the fourth flight and move on. And I try and instill that in my teaching with my people. The other thing I explain to the average player is bad shots are part of the process. That tells you haven't quite got it yet. That's where I say the ball doesn't lie. The ball is the barometer. It will tell you if what you're doing is right or what you're doing is wrong.
When you're coaching the best players in the world, because you've used both phrases, I'm curious about this. Do you consider yourself teaching or coaching?
I think I'm both. You have to be both. You have to understand the personality of the person you're dealing with. You have to understand his golf swing, his mechanics, his physical capabilities. And then you have to be able to get inside their head. You have to kind of know what makes them tick. You've got to know when to give them a hug. You got to know when to kick them in the butt. You got to know when to make them laugh. You got to know when to give them space. And all of these things are different with each person. So you have to understand the person you're dealing with. And that if you do that, then you have the ability to get inside their head and not only help them with the X's and O's of the golf swing, but help them with their concentration, with their ability to compete under pressure and how they handle pressure. And every one of the guys that I've worked with, the 40, 45, 50 tour pros that I've had the fortunate chance to have a chance to work with, I have to understand each and every one of them, and no two are the same.
Along the lines of what you were just discussing, knowing what to say, when to say it, how to say it, etc. I remember you telling me a story about, I can't remember the year, but it was early days. Ricky Fowler was in a bit of a bad stretch, mini bad stretch, I should say, in fairness. But he said to you, hey, Butch, I missed a cut. You mind coming out on a Saturday and taking a look at my swing? I don't know if you remember this story. You said you did. A kind of a crowd started to gather. Could you share with us what happened that day to illustrate your ability to deliver what needs to be said at the time it needs to be said?
That was in 2013 at the Open Championship at Muirfield, the one that Phil won. And Ricky and I were not working together. He had played a practice round with Phil and really was playing poorly for Ricky. I mean, I'd known Ricky a long time. I always admired Ricky. He's one of the nicest young men I've ever met, but I really wasn't working with him at the time. And he called me on Friday night and he goes, hey, Butch, is there any chance after your guys tee off tomorrow you could come to the range and watch me hit some? I'm kind of lost. And I said, yeah, I'd be happy to. I could be there at such and such a time. So I show up there. You know, the guys are all on the course. Everybody's out on the course. Ricky's the only one on the range. And people that are kind of hanging around, they see it. So we get a crowd that gets 200-300 people. The problem was Ricky used to have a takeaway where he would drag the handle back and get the club way outside of his hands, and then he would reroute it coming down and drop the club underneath into the slot. And when his timing was off, he couldn't hit consistent shots. So I showed him a little drill where you take the club back about waist high, stop, and start your swing from there. And I said, from here, you'll feel how to get from this point to the top of the swing, and it'll give you the feeling of what we're trying to do. Well, for like 15 minutes, I mean, it's a very simple drill. He couldn't get the ball airborne doing it. And finally, he looked at me and he said, "Are you going to make a fool out of me in front of all these people?" And I actually said to him, "I think the score you shot the first 36 holes, you've already done that to yourself. We need to go to work and fix this." And at the time, he did not like that. His caddy and his manager loved it, but he didn't like that. But he understood what I was trying to tell him. Myself, I'm not one that sugarcoats it. You've known me a long time. I am brutally honest. My job is to try and help you and make you the best you can be. So I'm not going to kiss your rear end like everybody else does to these tour pros. I'm going to tell them what I see. I'm going to tell them how we're going to fix it and why we're going to fix it. If they want to do that, fine. If they don't want to do that, that's fine also.
Our guest is the one and only Butch Harmon. When we come back, I want to continue down the pathway of asking Butch some questions that kind of reflect the amount of time that he's devoted to the game, but also that family time. You remember that story about his dad? Practice round with Ben Hogan, hole-in-one at Augusta National, and all the legends and all the myth that has grown up around that story. I'm going to ask the man about that. I want to ask Butch about, we all know that he built the foundation upon which Tiger Woods became the legend that we know. Why? How and why did Tiger choose Butch, and how did that union come together? Did he realize at the time that he was dealing with, he obviously knew he was a prodigy. He obviously knew he was capable of winning major championships because he's notched it. But did he realize the potential that existed to become one of, if not the greatest player of all time, and to that point? He's seen them all. It's the debate that rages on. Jack Nicklaus and Tiger Woods. Which one would you pick? And if I have time, I want to ask Butch about someone else. You heard me mention the name Ben Hogan, who was dear friends with his dad. What about Ben Hogan's golf swing? We're told he was the greatest ball striker of all time. But have you studied Ben Hogan's golf swing? Have you looked at it? It is not the classic traditional-looking swing. It doesn't have to speak to what Butch was just telling us, that the golf swing is a fingerprint. You have your own. Make it work. That, as the Fairways of Life show continues.
I got ball fit in 2000, went on a little run. Then Bridgestone fit me again, and I went on another run. I just got fit again for the new Tour BX. The ball fitting's been helping me. Will it help you?
What would your ultimate golf experience be like? Just you and a friend? Or would you round up some buddies for a foursome? Just one day? Or an entire week? There's a good chance your ultimate golf experience could be Michigan's magnificent 10. 10 incredible courses set among 3 remarkable resorts. See for yourself. Book your ultimate golf experience today.
I think when you're training for other sports, or why most people go to the gym is so that they can have muscles and be strong and be healthy. And a lot of the reason why they struggle to play golf is their body doesn't move properly for them to be able to hit a golf ball. And when you're training for golf, it's a little bit different because you're focused more on flexibility and mobility and being strong in motion. When you're able to kind of have a warm up and have a workout routine and kind of gradually build up to where you're training your body to move properly, yeah, you're going to get a lot of big dividends on the golf course.
Super easy to hit. Introducing the new BXG Black Ops irons, our first game improvement iron.
It's a larger face heel to toe.
It launches the ball high in the air and really far.
Much higher levels of forgiveness. You set that club down, creates a lot of confidence. It's supported by this X-Core calling material.
And that's where you get improved ball speed. If you're looking for a distance, forgiveness, and feel, Black Ops irons are going to be for you.
BXG, nobody makes golf clubs the way we do, period.
Stride by Zero Friction, the first of its kind personal caddy. Walk in comfort and style with Stride's remote and follow me technology. The Stride handles almost any terrain, and its 54-hole range will last all day. The lightweight design and removable front wheels makes it simple to handle. Plus, it easily fits golf carts. Pick up your Stride today at a local PGA Tour Superstore near you or at zerofriction.com/Stride. Stride, your personal caddy.
Every January, PGA Tour Superstore pros meet every manufacturer, learn about the latest equipment, log thousands of hours of training, and together hit over 100,000 balls. all so they can get you the perfect fit.
Welcome back to the Fairways of Life show. The impact of Butch Harmon and his family upon the game of golf is profound, and it will forever reiterate through the history books for all the things that they have done. Butch is our guest here today. Honored to have his company. Butch, when you were in Vietnam, did you think you were coming home?
I'm not sure I can answer that, Matt. I don't think at the time you think about that. You're trained to do your job. I was a squad leader on a mortar crew in the infantry of the 25th Infantry Division, and you're trained to do your job, and you just try and do your job. You go through situations and things that are not very nice. You do a lot of things as you get older maybe you're not proud of, but at the time that was what was required. I don't think I ever thought about not making it. I'm a very positive person. I'll tell you a funny story. When we left Honolulu on a troop ship in early '66 to go to Vietnam, the 25th Infantry was the first full division to go to Vietnam. Everybody was downtown getting a tattoo, and I'm very anti-tattoo, and so I was the only one in my whole company who didn't get a tattoo, and they're saying, "Come on, Harmon, you got to get a tattoo." I said, "I'm not getting one." He says, "We're getting tattoos. We're all going to die." I said, "I'm not getting a tattoo, damn it. I'm not dying. So let's move on with this." And that was kind of my mindset, to just try and do my job, do the best I can do, and whatever fate is going to take care of, it's going to take care of. Because quite honestly, in the heat of the battle, you don't have time to think about anything but your job.
Your dad and his relationship with Ben Hogan, you heard me mention it before we went to the break. The story of your father making the hole-in-one, and the way the legend goes is that Ben Hogan didn't say anything to him, as if he didn't even notice that it happened. One of your brothers has told me that that's not the way that it went down. Did your dad ever talk to you about that?
Yeah, I've actually asked Dad about that numerous times, and it did go down kind of that way, to be honest with you. The interesting thing about the story is that Mr. Hogan and my father were best of friends. They played every practice round at every major together. They literally spent their whole careers playing together. Mr. Hogan would come to Seminole for a month before Augusta, where Dad was the pro. They'd play every day. And, it's the 12th hole of the iconic par 3 that we've all seen a million times. And Dad did make a hole-in-one. And Mr. Hogan made a 2. And as the story goes, they're walking off the green, and Mr. Hogan has a scorecard. He says, Claude, I can't ever remember making a 2 in this hole. What'd you make? And Dad says, well, Ben, I made an ace. And he just put a 1 down on the scorecard, folded the card up, and put it in his pocket. Now, there's been different versions of it, but that's pretty much the version my father told me, so that's the one I'm going with.
And I remember your brother telling me at dinner that night, your dad asked him, hey, how come there was no congratulations, no slap on the back, no nice shot, no nice hole-in-one? And Hogan said something akin to, that hole-in-one didn't do anything for me.
Well, that wouldn't surprise me if that's the way it came down.
Ben Hogan's golf swing. What does Butch Harmon make of that golf swing? What's your assessment?
Well, the game of golf is a game of repetition, man. I don't care how you swing. If you can repeat it the same way every time, you can play golf. You look at Jim Furyk, for example. You look at a lot of swings. You look at Mr. Hogan. You look at Jack Nicklaus. You look at Arnold Palmer. These are their swings. You wouldn't necessarily teach anybody this. In Mr. Hogan's swing, because it was so flat, and because before the accident he hooked the ball so much, and when he came back after the accident, in his mind, he said, I'm not going to hit any more hooks anymore, and he became a fader of the ball. Well, if your swing is that flat, or the plane of your swing is that fat, you better have a very fast unwind of your lower body. And Mr. Hogan had the fastest unwind of a lower body I had ever seen until I saw Tiger Woods. And it was very interesting because I'd never seen anybody rotate their lower body as quickly as Mr. Hogan did. If you think about it, how flat he was swinging the club, and where he was coming from, he had to get his lower body out of the way so he could release the club. So no, I don't think you would teach anybody to do that unless that was kind of their natural swing. For me, I actually do think Ben Hogan was the best ball striker I've ever seen in my life, meaning the way he controlled his ball through the air, the trajectory of the shot. Modern times, the closest I would say would be Lee Trevino. Lee Trevino was another one that controlled his ball through the air beautifully. The trajectory of the shot, the shape of the shot. He was another one that had an unusual golf swing in the way he took the club back a little out, dropped it under. But if you look at pictures of him in impact, look at how much he cleared his hips out of the way so that his hands and arms had a chance to follow. So everybody's swing is their swing. And if, like I said, if you can consistently swing the club the same way, you can actually hit good golf shots. Doesn't matter who you are.
When you think, Butch, about, here we are talking about unique swings, and you mentioned Mr. Trevino, but even during some guys before him, say Palmer, Player, Casper, Moody. I mean, we could go on and on and on with this discussion and name hundreds of players that were pretty much self-taught kind of through the 50s and 60s, which I like to describe that time in professional golf as almost a bar fight. There was a very small exempt list, and Hogan didn't like it when that got extended even to 15. But these guys taught themselves how to play. How important is that for you as a coach, as a teacher, to have people understand the ability to self-correct, the ability to get that face squared up at impact the way you describe it, like with Lee Trevino?
Well, you know, a lot of those guys started out as caddies. They all grew up in the caddy yard. They didn't have anybody teach them how to play. So they, as Mr. Hogan used to say, you got to work it out in the dirt. You got to get out there and work at it and work at it and work at it and get the best you can be of your craft. I think today we look at a crop of young players that swings all look very similar because education has gotten better, teaching has gotten better, the athletic ability of the athletes is much better. So it's a different time to compare. But for me, when you consider the type of equipment that Ben Hogan and Sam Snead and Jimmy DeMeritt and all those great players had to play with, and look at how good they were, it's a tribute to how phenomenal they actually were and how good they made themselves. They didn't have video. They actually didn't have instructors. They just had to go up to the range and practice. One of our great players of all time is Raymond Floyd. Look at his golf swing.
Oh, yeah.
He fans the club wide open, going back, a very strange action. Truly great ball striker, great champion, major champion winner multiple times. So there's a lot of ways to do it.
Yeah, there's no doubt. One of the ways and one of the people that did it perhaps better than anybody else was Tiger Woods. And it takes me back to that question I was posing before the break, which is why? How? Why did Tiger end up with you?
Well, it started in, back in 93. Greg had won the Open Championship in July. It was August, and I was in Houston at Lochinvar where I was director of golf, and Tiger was playing in the Amateur Championship over at Champions. He lost I think it was his third round match. I can't remember because I never had really seen him play. And his father called me on the phone and asked if he could bring him over. He admired the work I had done with Greg Norman. And I said, sure, I'd love to see him. I've heard about your son. I've never watched it, but I'd be happy to watch it. I still have the film on my computer of a little skinny ball a mile and didn't really know what he was doing. He just knew what to do that he thought was the right things. And you could see the natural talent he had. Boy, and I can remember that after 2 days of working with him, I'm thinking to myself, boy, it would be great to have an opportunity to work with this young man. He's got so much natural ability. And the rest is kind of history. His dad called me a week or so after they went back to California, wanted to know if I would take over working with his son. I was very honest with Earl. I said, look, Earl, I'd be happy to. I know you don't have any money, so I'm not going to charge anything. But when he turns pro, I'll end up sending you a bill, which I did. And it was a pretty hefty one, to be honest with you. And I said, but it's not going to work if I want him to do something and you tell him to do something else. And he goes, I'll make a deal with you. You don't try and be his dad. I won't try and be his golf instructor. And that's how we got started. Well, we're talking 1993, no internet, none of this that we have today, like we're talking today on my phone to you in your studio. This didn't exist. So we had to do it all through video work. And so I bought a video camera for Tiger. I gave him my FedEx account, and he would film his swing. He would overnight his stuff to me. I would look at it. I'd pick up the phone. I'd call him. This is what I saw. This is what I don't like, what I see. We need to do this. And he'd go back, and then we'd go back and forth that way. The interesting thing is when he went to Stanford, he had that camera that I had bought for him, and his coach, Conrad Ray, called me and said, I'm sorry, you can't give this to one person. You're going to have to send 2 or 3 cameras so the whole team can use them. I said, well, that's fine with me. I'll buy them and send them to you, which was, the typical NCAA rules were different in those days. But anyway, that was pretty much how it got started.
I've got to ask you the question. I actually hate having to do it, but you've seen Jack, you've seen Tiger. I think it's unfair, but my curiosity overcomes my restraint in this regard. Tiger or Jack, who is it?
Well, I will tell you how I always answer this question, Matt. And there's two different eras, so it's hard to compare the players, but they are the two greatest players I think that have ever played golf. Jack Nicklaus, far and away the greatest champion of all time. 18 majors, 19 seconds, 13 or 14 thirds. He could have won 35 majors. That means for a period of a zillion years, every time he teed it up in a major, he had a chance to win. So as far as I'm concerned, he's the greatest champion they ever played. Tiger Woods has done stuff that no one else has ever done. Won U.S. Opens by 15 shots, win the Masters as his first time, setting a record for low score, so on and so forth. So to me, I think they're equal. They're both are the two greatest players that ever lived. The different types of players, two different types of mindsets, but both of them dominated more so than anybody we've ever seen. So I don't think one's better than the other. I put them both at the top of the list.
The game at its highest elite levels has gone through a lot of turmoil for the last, 2.5, 3 years. What's the take of Butch Harmon with where the professional game is right now?
You got to look at it two ways. I think at the moment, we are the crop of young players we have may be the best crop of young players we've had maybe ever. And there's a lot of them, a tremendous amount of them. The downside to that is when you turn on the TV on Saturday and Sunday and you look at the leaderboard and the novice golf fan sees these 10 names, he has no idea who any of them are because it's not any of the superstars. And I think that's why golf ratings are down and stuff. And that's, to me, is wrong because these kids are so good. The other side of that, I think the business side of golf is at the worst it's ever been. I think I don't understand the way the tour handles their stuff. I don't understand the rest of the world. All I know is that if from what I understand, if the commissioner had taken Yasser's phone call 4 years ago, we wouldn't be in this place. But I think the arrogance of the PGA Tour, thinking they were the best game in town and the only game in town and nobody was going to come in and do anything about that. Well, we've seen what's happened. What all you and I want and all golf fans want is when we turn on the TV on Sunday, we want to see the best players in the world playing against each other. That's all we want. And we only get that 4 times a year now at the majors. And for me, that has to change. Look, let's go back to sports. We had an AFL and an NFL, an ABA and an NBA, and the owners of the basketball teams and the football teams realized they had to get together to make this product the best it could be. Well, that's what golf has to do. And I don't think it's that hard. It's gotten harder as time has gone on. If they'd have listened 4 years ago, we might not even be going through this. Now there's a difficulty. How do we bring these guys back? They all took a lot of money. We didn't take the money. Do we get reimbursed for that? I can't imagine anybody giving their money back. But there has to be a way to bring everybody together. And for God's sake, let's hope they figure it out.
What about life, Butch? You cut back on the traveling. How are you doing? Do you ever get the itch again to get back in the mix?
Well, I still teach. I just don't do golf schools anymore. I retired from golf schools at the end of this year. I still teach. I've got Tommy Fleetwood. I've got Harry Hall. I've got Harold Varner III, a bunch of young guys that I work with. So I still have my hand in teaching. I don't go to tournaments anymore. The Masters is the only one I'll go to, and I still do that for Sky Television, which I've done for 28 years, and I love the Masters, obviously. Last Ryder Cup was the first time in 26 years, 13 Ryder Cups. I haven't done the Ryder Cup. I'm planning on trying to do it this year at Bethpage for numerous reasons. Number one, I want to see how the gal reacts when you get those New Yorkers and those English bullies together. That could be more interesting than the golf. So I kind of want to be there and see how that happens. But I don't miss the traveling. I will tell you, to be honest with you, what I do miss. I miss most major championships for almost 25, 30 years. I had the opportunity to have somebody had a chance to win every one of them. And I miss the rush of that, the feeling of being in the hunt, the feeling of being with my players and watching them, the phenomenal shots these guys hit under pressure. When they play bad, I'm very hard on myself. Did I miss something today in a warm-up? Did I not see this or that? So I really miss that part of it. The traveling, I don't miss at all. I mean, I'm 81 years old. I'm playing more golf now than I have. I've lost a bunch of weight, and I've got. Well, I apologize for my attire this morning, but I came from the gym where I was working out with my trainer. I've even hired a trainer that I work with a few days a week, and try to take care of my body and take care of my game so I can be here another 20 years or so and continue to enjoy golf. I'll always teach, Matt. I love to teach. I love to help people. It's funny, at my club, Anthem Country Club, where I play, if I'm not working on a Friday, I'll play in the men's game, and I'll play with the guys, and I'll say, look, guys, don't ask me any questions about your swing. This is about me, okay? I'm working on my game today. And about 3 or 4 holes in, I'll see one of the guys I'm playing with, and I'll say, okay, I can't stand it any longer. Here's what you need to do. Why don't you try to do this? So I'll always be a teacher. It's what I love to do. It's what it's all my brothers and I, that's our passion. That's what we were taught. I don't know anything but golf. This has been my life, my whole life. The game has been so good to me. I mean, everything I have in life I owe to my wonderful wife, Christy, who has guided me through some of my tough times and the game of golf. So I'm a very lucky person.
And we are lucky that you and your family have meant so much to the game of golf. Butch Harmon, thank you for your time. It was great to catch up.
Anytime, pal. It's a pleasure to be with you. You do a great job. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, my friend. And thank you to all of you for joining us for the Fairways of Life show today. It was a great show. It was a powerful show, opening up, talking about those fires in California, and we continue to hope for the very, very best for all of those impacted. It was definitely great to check in with another legend about how she's doing, and is she okay with everything that they have gone through. It's always a pleasure to catch up with Amy. It's always a pleasure to catch up with Butch, and it's always a pleasure to have your company. Until we are together again, be well, and goodbye for now.